says recording.
So there we are. Welcome back to The Sovereign Way. We're in a season of beauty, lightness, and allowing. And we are journeying across a landscape of discovery, mastery, and mystery, deepening our intimacy into God, deepening our inquiry into God, and our ability to truly receive the one who is opening to us so deeply. My name is Elizabeth, and I am your tour guide. The words themselves that you'll be receiving in this session together, all those words belong to God, and so does the vibration. So your only job is to receive the medicine that God has designed just for you. And you can watch these teachings again and again, and you can get something new every single time, but there is no rush with anything. You don't have to hustle your spiritual development in this season. I discovered that after a lot of hustle. Now, we started this season with remembering that, yes, I already always am. I am consciousness, born as human, good and becoming. And the values that matter most to my heart make up the soul song that become my voice in a harmony of humanity, always relevant, always belonging, always wanted, and always loved. And then we remembered that if this is true for me, then it is true for you. You are the most beloved child of God. We are the image of an unconditionally loving yet creative God. So our true humanity is unconditional love and conscious action. So we had to recognize that often we are not conscious and loving, and then we are not human. When we act as animals, robots, or zombies, right? Then we are unconscious, unhuman. And then we are not in true relation with this beautiful world that God made and all his beloved children. So today we will meditate more on what it is to be in true relation, connecting not just through the labels, mother, daughter, employee, friend, master, disciple, but communing in a harmony of values. You remember that even metaphysically, to relate is at the core of all of actual existence. The Trinity is source, spirit, and substance in relation with itself. And all of reality is made up of a series of events and happenings, actualized experiences and occurrences that are in relation with one another at all times energetically. So it is in relation that reality is. To be in relation with something is to be affected by that something and to affect that something simultaneously. So think about the equilibrium when you put an ice cube and a hot coal next to each other. We are becoming together. So I love that you want to shine your light. Your light is so beautiful to behold. And even more beautiful when in your humility, you remember that you are not a rigid lighthouse beaming your light out over a stormy sea. You are a droplet in the ocean of love, always entangled with every part of it, always communing with every one, pleasure and pain, victory and defeat, high vibing ascension and the lowly and lost. and to be in true relation with it all is to be Christ. So today we will practice recognizing the innocence in another. You know, the little baby that they once were, the toddler giggling in a moment of pure delight when their daddy pulls a funny face. That one that we've all been. And I'd like to challenge you not to think of the world as a reflection of your inner self. That's different, isn't it? We're usually told to think of the world as a reflection of ourselves. And that is helpful philosophy in our early days of self-discovery when we need to learn that we are projecting. But in your life, where you are, in your relationship with God, it's time to know that the world isn't just a hologram of energetic cause and effect. Narcissus became enamored with the reflection on the surface, so much that he rejected the invitations of love from real life around him because he was fixed on his own reflection. You may see yourself in the reflection on the surface of the world, but the water is so much deeper. This is the body of God that you are peering into. And God is peering back through the eyes of everyone you meet. Love seeking itself, communing with itself. So for true transformation in relationship, you must integrate your knowing that you are a sovereign co-creator of your experience, seeing reflections of yourself in the manifest world, and also that you are inside a relational conscious energy body, and it's not all about you. This is the key that liberates you from other people's energy. And it's also what softens what is hardened in your energy. What do I mean by what is hardened in your energy? I mean anything that's been crystallized in form as a way of being relational. Including your behavioral patterns, emotional eating, being late all the time, having meltdowns, withdrawing your love as a self-preservative method, self-sabotaging mindsets that you operate because you can't handle the bliss that you so often seek. Ideas that you can do this on your own, your inability to receive the love if it doesn't look like this and this. Your inability to receive the grace and abundance that the world has for you unless it looks like this and this. Hardening of your heart. And that hardening, that crystallization, softens when you're in true relation. So for a moment, let's do a thought experiment. Let's do the stained glass window meditation. So come and arrive right where you are and settle into your body, settle into your surroundings and be exactly here. Breathe in deep and oxygenate those cells and that beautiful, clever brain of yours. Let the heart and the breathing settle into a good rhythm. And close your eyes so that you are peering into the canvas of your beautiful creative mind. And let's imagine your individual consciousness as a stunning, intricate stained glass window in a beautiful cathedral. And you are inside the cathedral looking up at the window. And the sunlight on the other side of the window is pure and whole and everlasting. And when it shines through the window, it highlights all of the stories that are embedded in the glass. And all those stories are all the agreements that you've made with reality, all the things that you know to be true about your life. This is so, and this is so, and this is how it is over here, and that's how it is over there. I'm a winner. I can't lose weight. Men are untrustworthy. It's so hard to connect these days. Social media is negative. There's no such thing as miracles. Democrats are bad. Democrats are good. I'm unworthy of success in business. I deserve more than they do. If I'm not working my highest genius, passion, calling, then I'm wasting my life away, etc. Some of those stories are very, very dark, and they're very hard to tell. But it doesn't matter how terrible those stories are, the sunlight has not been compromised in any way. It is still as whole and as perfect as ever before. But it does project those stories of the window onto the flagstone floor of your cathedral. You can see the light, you can see the sunlight streaming through the window of your marvelous mind and highlighting those projections on the manifestation of your life. You can see what is recorded in your window. It's right there on that hard, structured foundation of your life. And look there, there's another window suddenly appearing in the cathedral. It's your mother, or your first grade teacher, or your son, or your boss, or your worst enemy. And look, there's a whole set of stories there in that window. And the sunlight is doing precisely the same thing. It is moving through their window and projecting their stories onto the hardened actual structures of their real lived life here in our shared infrastructure of energy. Now look what happens when God decides to shift the whole fabric of the universe so that space and time and the walls of the cathedral bend, and now the windows are more angled towards each other, and see how the projections slide along the stone floor until they overlap. Relationship. We see a few things happening. Some things are happening to the images on the floor as they overlap. First, we notice that the colors are brighter. They're more vibrant. When you combine the projection, when you combine the light of two sources, the light is exponentially enhanced and magnified. A room with two windows is brighter than a room with only one. But the stories are harder to read. And figures and happenings sort of overlap each other as if they're merging together. Your childhood trauma is happening in the same place as her business success. His fear of being left alone is on top of your need for independence. And if my life was all about me, then it would certainly feel like there's a lot of noise interrupting my story. I can't live my highest ideal because of all this other energy that's in my way. Now, there are many things that we can do about this when we are in true relation. We can organize and analyze and interpret to sort it all out and make sense of whose window is telling what story. And then we can manage the way we communicate in respect of these differences. We can keep our own window clean and simple. We can remember that the sun is shining on both windows equally and try to only relate to the sun on the other side of the window. I see the divine in you. I see the divine through you. And we can forgive ourselves and each other for having a story. And if we do that, instead of striving to see the divine through their window, instead of striving to see the sun on the other side of their window, we can meet them there in the vibrancy of the stories melding together. And we can see how the new harmonies come about as my story influences yours and your story influences mine. And look now up at your window as a curious thing occurs. Our windows are changing. Unfinished stories completed with a happy ending, stolen things returned, lost things found, lessons learned, questions answered, other adventures opened up. Jesus didn't come to save us from the human story. He didn't come to burst us into an ascended race of celestial 15th dimensional beings. He came precisely to be with us in the human story, to be together, to travel together, to laugh and cry together, to play and create together, to plow the fields and to harvest together, to grow old or die young, having lived. True relation is not living in story and relating to one another from inside your own story. True relation is not living out of story, striving in that excelsior consciousness to reach the pinnacle of your own diamond truth in order to only be the sun on the other side and only relate to the sun on the other side of his window. And true relation is not finally living when the story is over. True relation is living through the story. Fully divine and fully human. While the sun shines on every window equally, and the divine potential is in each of us, it is only through relation that we truly know God. Open your eyes if you haven't already, and come back here to the screen and look at this experiment. In the words of Simeon, the new theologian, he was a Byzantine monk who lived 1,000 years ago, and he described the divine embodiment. And he described the effect of the embodiment when we're in true relation with one another. And he used this experiment. So the words are by Simeon. Listen to these. What I have seen is totality recapitulated as one. received not in essence, but by participation. Just as if you lit a flame from a flame, it is the whole flame you receive. To be the light of the world does not mean that you need to be a great big beaming aura of spiritual perfection. Sometimes it is just the tiniest flicker that can spark that divine embodiment in another. And just as if you lit that flame from a flame, it is not a piece of the other flame that you receive, it's the whole flame. So in your next encounter with a human being, even if it is your worst nemesis, love them. For there is a story being lived through them. God is knowing the world through them, peering into your eyes and seeing a flicker of something familiar and endlessly lovely. So we'll keep our windows clean, but above all, we'll forgive ourselves and everyone else for having one. Thank you for joining us today. I will end the teaching here and open the round table for our members in the Oasis.